Scions 280. We're finally all back from various states of vacation for Labor Day weekend. I know I was having a good time out watching some music in the middle of a field. I actually don't know where either of you two were, but nonetheless, we got a very solid weekend of sports, as in Georgia Tech won in everything team sport related. We won in football, we won all three of our volleyball games, so I count this as a extremely successful weekend. Are you going to give me some track and field? We didn't win that.
And they won cross country too.
Oh, they
Don't
did.
ask
Okay.
who they were running against. We'll get to that in a minute, but they won.
Good, good. Sounds love to hear that. Um, yeah, we'll run through the football game today. I know it's a little late, but it's just when we can all get here, and then we'll run through our what we have on the volleyball games. If you want some more in-depth coverage of the volleyball games, though, Will Fuss and our new writer Danielle McEltrott covered those games for us while I was out, and so you can check their recaps up on the website. Uh, Football-wise, though, 27-20 win against Colorado. Firstly, either of you give me how did y'all consume this game? Who were you with? What were the vibes like? I was watching in a random house in Ohio and then went to a brewery a few minutes away. So and then I was on my phone. Like I was in three different places between a hotel and a music fest. I assume y'all were much more static locations.
Maybe arguably less static.
Oh,
I hit the ground on the runway about 3 minutes, 4 minutes before kickoff. Had my phone streaming for the first quarter and change till I got where I was going, and then after that it was on a nice big TV with a good sound system. So very stable after that. But
mm.
yeah, from an airport terminal, the tarmac, and various highways in between to get there. So.
I see you enjoyed football as Lane Kiffin once enjoyed football on the tarmac.
Well, and that's the thing is once I was in one place, I think we outscored them what 20-13 the rest of
Something
the
like
So
that.
what
something
so what
like
you're
that.
saying is Colorado's defensive coordinator called you after the game and was like, "Can you get on an airplane again? And can we play
For
this
next
game
year.
back over
Yeah,
again?"
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it was tough. We have a very robust Slack that is always chattering, so being on the mobile delay is a little bit challenging. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm as useful for some of the miscues early on, but I mean that certainly is the defining, at least to me, part of this game is shoot, they dug about as bad of a hole as you can dig. I know David Hale, I think at one point posted the record of teams with three turnovers, or maybe three or more turnovers in a game last year, and I believe the winning percentage was under, 10%, under
Yeah, there
one
were only yeah,
LO.
only 10 teams won in that situation. Only 10 games.
Yeah.
Like 10 games for one. I don't know if the same team did it twice or not, but yeah, it was only 10. It was like 0.78 or something like that was the win percentage. So, yeah, we definitely got s- got some luck there in terms of how those first three possessions played out. Um, I'll dive in a little bit to just how the game came about. We get the ball to start. Looks like we're running just fine, and then Haynes fumble on an exchange, and then Colorado's in really good field position. They convert that very quickly for a touchdown. On what I assume were some scripted plays as well, because they had plus territory, and they were able to take advantage of that. But then, yeah, Jake, as you mentioned, from here we outscored them 27-13 the rest of the way, which does include a fumble on the next drive. That was on a bad snap that went over Haynes Kings' head. And at that point, it's like, what in the God? Like, how is this what we're doing right now? uh, Colorado doesn't score after that. Then we throw up. Then Haynes throws a pick on the third drive, that was the more befuddling spot of just like what? How is this happening? That interception, though, I maintain that there. I think Joey Weaver, our friend, maintained there probably could have been pass interference because Bailey Stockton gets run into while he's attempting the crossing route, and that goes
Mhm.
uncalled. There's also a holding involved somewhere in there as well that doesn't get called at all. So the players and the refs may have been in get the jitters out for him, as far as I know. Uh,
And Jack, I've got a question on that
yeah,
because early in the game, it seemed like there was a lot of, hey, this was a missed. You could, what's the old adage? You can call holding on every play.
right.
How much did it square? And actually, you can chime in here too. How much did it square with you guys on bigger and or better positions, or at least with a little bit more audio
Yeah,
for
yeah.
parts of it? Like, how did that line up versus kind of like the narrative? Because it seemed to me, based on Slack and texts and conversations with folks since
Yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah,
that
yeah.
like it was like completely one-sided. But then again, we are Georgia Tech, and it's pretty easy to interpret something as world against you when it comes to
Right,
refs,
yeah.
ref calls.
There was definitely at least one that was
Okay.
like, okay, that should not have been, that should have been called. That was pretty blatant. I think that was on when Colorado scored, I want to say,
Hmm.
or something like that. But yeah, there was a blatant one early on that could have changed something, and then just didn't. Um, our next three drives, though, after these turnovers, field goal, make it 10-3. Haynes King has his first rushing touchdown, make it 10-10, and then a 2 minute drill, like a true 2 minute drill, and we get a field goal, a 43-yard field goal to go up 13-10. So after ultimately just having nothing going our way, they stayed pretty calm and composed. Actually, I don't know. How did you feel about the first half, just in terms of just how they just they were doing true Buster Faulkner ball, which is just a crap ton of motion and just finding four different ways to run Haynes and Eric Rivers in this case too.
I mean, it's a good like a surprising amount of balance in this game. Like, I think they do run the ball at a 70% clip, but like we saw a little bit more of the pass wagons in this one. A little bit more, I think, of what we were talking about a lot last season, where we want to hit those intermediate to longer throws and at least attempt them. I think
Yeah,
having King back and able to actually stretch the field that way, or I think not just able, right? I think part of the discussion that we had last year was they weren't Tech was not willing to make that tactical choice, so it ends up being a little interesting in terms of like,
he did have a torn rotator cuff, so that didn't help.
well, right. So now he's ostensibly healthy, though, we'll talk about potentially talk about some of the aftermath of this game, especially like this dude gets beat up a lot. Like the wear
Yes.
and tear meter on him and college football 26 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see him back out there and contributing, and even if it's still 6.8 yards per play on a passing game, at least they were looking downfield a little bit more often.
Right.
Obviously, you have that pick in on that third drive to cap off three straight drives with a turnover, but and it's not something that actually comes across in the ESPN feed, so I can't give you quite the exact number, but overall, like holistically for this game, it's not anything like it's a really good performance, and it's just kind of par for the course for King
Yeah.
and this offense. If toss out, toss out the turnovers, and it's a different ball game, but also like it is kind of
Right.
like
Well, I mean,
it does become a completely different game once they say, okay, we're going to get our sea legs under us at altitude
yeah.
and play ball here.
I think what was Jake, I don't know if you noticed this too, but those turnovers, none of them felt like expected or like, oh no, we're about to like spontaneous, we're about to combust and things aren't going well. It was they all felt jarring in that they were executing what they wanted to execute for the most part, and then on the plays where they didn't, it was just like, whoa, hold on a second, what is this? Like they all these turnovers felt like they came out of the blue and not out of because we were breaking ourselves or shooting ourselves in the foot in any noticeable way. Now, granted, snapping the ball over your quarterback is shooting yourself in the foot, but still, it was not expected in any sense.
Yeah, they felt almost like aberrations, at least to me. I don't know. Like the offense was pretty well in rhythm, obviously, snapping and difference. And one thing I keep circling back around to is, you're breaking in a team at altitude in a true road environment. Yes,
Yeah,
they were
sold
in
out game.
Dublin
Yeah,
last year. Time change going the other direction that way, but like it's not like you're going into somebody else's building in that case, even though
yeah.
it's weird. This is a true road opener, which if I was smarter and had thought more than 10 seconds ahead, when's the last time Jeff Collins 2019? We've had a true road opener against a Power Five team. We've opened in the Bends, we've opened in Ireland, but
It's
I don't
been a
know.
minute. I'll
I
let
think
Akshay.
it would have had to have been. I am going to college football reference
I'll let Akshay
right
find it.
now.
Uh,
And while he cooks, I want to say that this is absolutely not a game that most past Tech teams lose. It's a game that most teams lose,
right.
right?
Yeah.
You're
Absolutely.
a,
Absolutely.
a true road opener at altitude on a standalone game, a lot of eyeballs and a lot of attention, and it starts as poorly as possible. And that's the thing I think that's different, or at least felt different, is they were methodical enough from what I was seeing coming across the ticker and the tiny screen on that offense that because the defense held, they didn't truly feel out of it,
No,
even fumbling three times. And that's a testament to how far I would say, even though I have qualms with wrapping up and certain parts of the defense and stuff like that, but
sure.
you're making them, you're giving them what, three drives where they get into the red zone and or I don't even know if one of those field goals was in the red zone, come to think of it. But shame on me again for not checking that. But that you're really keeping them well and truly off the board, short of, short field 7-0 type situation. So,
Yeah. The last Power Five road opener was in fact the FSU game in 2020, where
But
yes.
if
Jeff
you
Sims.
want to toss that out, it's Clemson
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes
2019.
sense.
That was a win. So,
Well, it's
go
like
figure.
it was a weird win,
But
but it was a weird
a
win.
weird win.
We don't have
Yeah.
to relitigate that game. Second half, second half, Colorado adjusts, I think, pretty well to our run game a little bit. They're stopping it a little bit more consistently. We're not just gashing them up the middle like we were a bunch in the first half. But nonetheless, we hold them to a field goal to open the second half. So we're at 13-13 when it absolutely could have been something else, which I think at that point, I was feeling more confident just knowing, okay, we had shown over and over we can hold them defensively. Coming out of half, we held them again to minimal points. And then Haynes King gets his second touchdown run of the game, a 17-yarder, go up a touchdown. Colorado scores right back after the third quarter, so it's 20-20 with a quarter to go. We trade punts, still not much momentum going either way. Our passing game isn't elite by any stretch of the imagination, but thank God Haynes King scores his third touchdown of the game, 47-yard rush, and then we stopped them pretty well on their final last gasp drive to secure the title belt as 1990 national champions, 27-20. Uh, Observations I have: 320 yards on the ground. That is about that's exactly what we want to do every game. Is that kind of stuff. Haynes King was 1 yard away from 300 all-purpose yards. That was his fourth 100-yard passing and rushing game in his career with us so far. So that was great. Uh, Outside of the center, the week one jitters were there. We lost Rutherford for a lot of this game, which I think definitely impacted some things because it looked like Eric Rivers was playing in some spots that Malik was going to play in, and so you shuffle that up, and maybe we don't have we don't have Eric Rivers running certain kinds of routes we were hoping he was going to run to get more of that deep threat action going. Um, but nonetheless, it never felt like we never spiraled. I think we come out as one of the most mature teams in the country just purely because Jake, that context you said of like here's what we were playing in, and B, how they responded to this. Like yes, they win, that's helps everything, but like there was never a point where it felt like we were playing against ourselves by any stretch of the imagination.
And I think obviously being -3 in turnover differential for the game and on your first three drives is the high level point here. But in the drive where Colorado came back to tie it up 20-20, I believe that was immediately preceded by a 3rd and 18 that was just a hair hot on a route. I'm gonna miss the tight end name, but
Ether.
Seether. Okay, it was Seether. Okay. Yeah, just a hair out of his hands. You convert something like that, and again, 1-2 plays, you're looking at that at a pretty big swing, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that Tech walked away, even with a touchdown win, I think is credit to that. I know we got a couple other key bullet points here, but I'd like to transition to the next point. Is I was kind of surprised at how methodical the offense looked with how kind of I would say kind of limited from what my preseason hype expectation, et cetera, was for incorporating Rivers into the offense.
Yeah.
Thoughts, gents?
I think that's fair. I mean, he was more of a running threat than a passing threat this
Yeah.
time around. He was, of course, was the subject of the oversized jersey on punt returns as well, because he wears number 3, and also Amari Harvey wears number 3 on special teams. So that's why they had to have another jersey on for him. And as Brett Key put it, he could run through that jersey. That thing was so big, and literally it held us back on a punt where he was trying to get around, but there was so much extra jersey. He got tackled by the jersey that was 8 times too big for the guy. Uh,
Yeah.
so they solved that problem, and Brent has
Yeah,
promised
Brent
to
is
never bring
not
that
a
back.
fan of that jersey.
No,
by
Uh,
any stretch of the imagination.
it
Like good
I'm shocked
shout
that it was
to
allowed in
Chad
the
Bishop
first
at the
place.
I mean, I don't know if there's I don't think there's any requirements for how big the jersey can be. It's just you just gotta have the numbers figured out. I thought that initially I thought that was like oh that's cute like a Velcro jersey in the back that you just slip on for these situations where you have a double number thing. But why was it that big? I just don't know why it was that. That's great. Brent
This
did
is
say
why
he got
manufacturing tolerances are important, everyone.
this is true. Bring back textile engineering to tech. Uh, Brent did note that he got a call from one of his old teammates, and his first thing they asked was the jersey, and he hung up immediately. He just wasn't going to talk about it. Uh, and he has promised that jersey will never see the light of day for our team again. Uh, yeah, I think also just there was also just the matter of figuring out what all we're gonna do with this, like figuring out what's working and what wasn't working. The run game was working so well, and the pass game never really found its footing. That there wasn't while we were winning and while we were relevant and controlling the game, there wasn't a reason to open up more potential opportunities for Colorado to get in the game and stop the clock if that meant we were going to maybe not be as successful in passing game. The passing game advanced stats wise on game on paper, like it was still the positive, like it wasn't a taking away from our game by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, I don't know if you want to have anything else to say on this part, but it seemed like overall both things were working well enough to where, yes, as you mentioned, we could throw downfield more. But in terms of the what was working the most, it was obviously the run game. So why go off of that?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned something about balance earlier. That's mostly just in terms of depth of target balance, not necessarily like the literal like balance between rushing and passing. But I think what we're seeing in terms of the pass game is similar to what we saw last year, where it's very complementary. It's like not necessarily high leverage or necessarily the whole kit and caboodle, but it's built for those late down situations. They're scheming for getting people open in high leverage moments rather than, okay, this is our bread and butter. We're going to scheme three levels and try to beat zone, like zone and find seams at all three levels of the defense. And so,
Right.
yeah, it's interesting. I don't exactly remember what kind of defensive configurations that Colorado was sitting in a lot of the time. Maybe that also contributes to a lot of the necessity to keep the ball in front. Um, but yeah, like at least just looking at the numbers here, it's very much so a like same as usual, business as usual kind of approach.
Yeah.
I think it really sticks out in those late down moments, right? And I think you have it mentioned here in our shot sheet. Total EPA for Tech on 12 plays on late downs is 8.62. For Colorado, it's 0.65, right? And
Yeah.
that is a massive difference when you're talking about when you're talking about what you're trying to convert, how you convert it. And they were extremely effective.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think there's some good shouts in here as well with with passing game.
On those late downs, uh, Tech was successful in 7 of 8 of those plays. So that worked out, and just one of the 4 times they passed in late down. So they were able to set up the run to keep running effective. Like that's kind of what the most effective look at this team has been so far. Of course, we're saying this knowing Haynes King had shoulder problems a lot last year in that Miami game when him and Philo were both playing. It was still kind of a run to run situation. But as things develop, I think they'll if they need I wonder. I don't think they'll ever say this because it could reveal game plans and things like that. But I wonder how much of the mindset of this offense is as long as the run game's not broken, we're just not going to worry about throwing the ball if we don't have to because we have like 4 different guys that can all run the ball, and we have a gazillion creative ways to do that. So why risk throwing an interception when it's a hell of a lot more secure to just keep running one of the Hayneses, someone on a jet sweep, or find a jailbreak screen or something like that. Like we saw that last year, and if they think they can do that increasingly more effectively, I'll be curious if the pass run balance changes at all. They ran 46 rushes to 21 pass plays in this game.
But it's the old bit about like there are three things that can happen when you throw the ball, and two of them are bad.
Right.
So
Yeah.
why ever
Why do
throw it,
Yeah.
right? Like I get it. Like I think I'm still at the same point as last year where I fundamentally understand what they're trying to do with not airing it out, right? Like you're protecting your quarterback's arm. You have, like you said, you have four different running options,
Hmm.
and you are trying to hide your weaknesses. You're scheming for your weaknesses more than your and playing to your strengths.
Yeah.
Right, you're scheming to cover your weaknesses, and they've done that very effectively. It is at this point, it's just a personal vanity that I want to see them throw the
Right.
ball
Right.
more. Like
Well,
I cannot justify asking for it more because of this kind of game plan and really well and truly establishing the run and complementing it with the pass rather than being pass first, as most of the last 10 years of college offenses have been.
yeah.
Like it is really just a personal vanity, like that I
Fair.
want that to happen.
Fair. Fair. Yeah, we'll see how that all changes. Well, I mean, don't I'll be curious when we play Clemson and some other tougher teams if they, know that okay, if we can find a way to securely stop their run game, or at least minimize its impact, then we're forcing them into those more uncomfortable deep ball situations that we're just not around as much. We're not trying as often. So, uh,
That raises a good point. You raise a good point there, though, because a lot of those, like the Paul Johnson era offenses, right? That flexbone style is like conceptually like this in
right.
terms of like
Yeah.
you run the ball a lot. You're not setting up a pass in those cases, but you're running the ball. You're shortening the game,
Yeah.
and limiting your opponent's opportunities. And then when you have a good opportunity to set up to play pass, you do it. In those cases, I think you saw a lot more emphasis on those edge rushers and edge defenders from teams. I
Yeah.
remember it's like while I was at Tech, Shaq Quarterman was a linebacker at Miami, and it was awful to play against Miami because he would sit on the edge and just do a really good job of sealing the edge and prevent runners from bouncing off tackle.
Hmm.
And so that's what I think that's the risk of this kind of play. Um, you have to be able to, but I think that's where you get the benefit of having this kind of motion scheme, right? You want to drag the eyes of those middle defenders to the motion rather than to
Yeah.
your ball carrier. And
Right.
so if you have a Shaq Quarterman sitting on the edge, if there is if there's an end around motion tracking that, or where that he has to track and his eyes follow there, he starts dragging outside or he starts going outside, then that opens up space more towards the inside for you to make that run. So it is like you see sort of these layers that you're building on top of and reads that you're building on top of here,
Yeah.
that lead to success. It ends up being okay. You have to take advantage of the defense's lack of discipline,
Yeah.
and can they resist the risk of not tracking that runner or not? And I
Yeah.
think last year we saw a lot of teams not being able to resist tracking that runner, and now the jury is out. Colorado didn't do a great job. Let's see what Gardner Webb may not, but let's see what Clemson does with more athletic dudes on the edge too.
Yeah. I'm imagining a Paul Johnson offense where they threw a lot of bubble screens. Like what would have what would have those careers been like if we were just throwing darts out to the side? By the way, perimeter blocking was fantastic in this game. Jake, did you notice just how well, especially on the right side, like anytime we wanted to get outside the tackles, it seemed like that worked so well compared to running up the gut. Like the wide receivers and the tight ends were doing so well on that front for what I could remember.
Yeah, it seemed like we have the speed to get around the corner too.
Yeah.
The guys are fast and making a couple extra yards off those makes a pretty big difference. I was pretty pleased with the offense writ large.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that I think, I'd love to see the center and the interior OL stuff get worked out, but
Yeah.
I guess that's what next week's for, right? And 2 weeks down the line, you got Clemson with a lot of stuff on tape now.
Yes,
So
yes.
that I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that, and it maybe this is me taking fewer far out schedule looks than I was last year, but I don't know. Compared to how much belly aching we were doing this time last year about tape differences in Syracuse and Louisville and things like that, I'm actually pretty optimistic for the next couple of weeks. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, we're not in the situation where we're facing Louisville in week 4 after they've played absolutely nobody and had a break, and we've traveled around the globe 14,000 times just to show up to Louisville and
Yep.
just lay an egg. So yeah, don't have
But to
that
that
problem this
point,
year.
though, just like kind of doing a little bit of a look ahead, if you look at that rush pass split for LSU versus Clemson, and this is a game that didn't go into garbage time, right? So there's
No,
no
no.
game state effect either.
Yeah,
The LSU is throwing the ball 60% of the time, running the ball 40% of the time. They only mustered 4 yards per carry, 120 yards on the ground, an average minus 0.06 EPA per rush, right?
yeah.
So it's a very good. Now I don't exactly remember the rushing patterns, like the gap patterns, how often they went off tackle versus inside zone versus zone blocking, et cetera, et cetera. Um, just looking at this on a yards like a line yards basis, and I'm trying to make sure that I have both tabs open so I can compare Georgia Tech performance to LSU performance here. So Georgia Tech line yards per carry 2.3. LSU line yards per carry 1.06, 1.1, say. So you're getting a lot less. The implication there is you're getting a lot less blocking push,
Yeah.
right? You're getting a lot less help from your offensive line. Um, and then if you look at the highlight yards, right, 42 highlight yards for LSU, point one or 4.2 per rush opportunity. For Tech, it's 117 highlight yards, 3.66 per rush opportunity, but the rush opportunity part doesn't necessarily matter. I think a lot of that is just speaking to 32 opportunity runs for Tech, where they're able to bounce things outside
Yep.
or stretch runs into bigger plays.
Yep.
Whereas for LSU, they have 10,
Yep.
10 opportunities
Yep.
where
That
they
makes
can
sense.
gain more than 4 yards, right? So, like, it's again, like, it's just a difference in caliber of defensive talent, right? Like Colorado, yes. Deion Sanders, yes. Travis Hunter not there anymore, right? Like, it's still going up to Clemson is still another caliber of talent above that. And even with LSU, I mean, LSU lives and dies on the Nuss bus. So, like, it's a different story offensively, tactically, but you still have to keep this in mind looking forward. How does that look now that you have a season plus on tape and everyone knows that you're playing this motion game? Can your defenders still, or can Clemson's defenders still seal the edges effectively? Not just Clemson. I mean, Gardner Webb, yes. Like, now that this is on tape again, can they design something that helps them seal the edge more effectively, prevent runs from bouncing outside? Like, can't make a tackle 15 yards down the field, that's fine.
Yeah.
But can you make a tackle within the 5 yards of line of scrimmage?
I feel like tackling is the age-old Georgia Tech problem. Right? Like
Oh man,
if I
the
if I
arm
had one
arm
thing, you
tackling,
just wrap them up.
Hmm.
Just do it.
just do it. Just wrap them up, center mass, just hit them.
Can't be that hard. Can't be that hard. Um,
Hit them hard. Yeah.
Last couple notes. Isaiah Canyon was actually playing on the Hail Mary attempt at the very end, at the end of the game, as he's part of the Hail Mary defense. He was the guy that was trying to catch the ball instead of bat it down, which, you know, funny. But does play defense on those situations. Also, I just want to shout out Malachi Hosley. He was really good on the few runs that he had. Like, he got some serious chunk yardage. Um, he was up to .2 EPA per play, a point third total throughout the game. He's only at 43% success rate, uh, which is about where Jamal Haynes was too. Like, Jamal Haynes also not necessarily lethal in this game, like 16 carries, 65 yards, but negative EPA. Um, I mean, Haynes King was he was just the dude for this game, so it's not like it exactly took away anything in any significant amount. But just it's an item. It's an item I'm looking at. Nothing more than that. Beyond that, yeah, we play next week. We have our home opener on September 6th against Gardner Webb. That's at 3:30 p.m. There is no spread, of course. I think I think I can speak for all of us here. We definitely want to see a lot of the backups get in this game. Want to rest who we can as much as we can in this game. I know Haynes. A lot of people are saying the moment that Haynes King looks like he's exhausted, that's when he's most dangerous because he just looked like he looked so beat up during this game. I don't know how much of that was whether he actually like had like a wound or if just he was doing so much that the altitude was getting to him. I'd bet the altitude was somewhat a factor there because he was working as hard as anybody on our team. But we'll see. We have for ACC games we do have injury reports, so we won't have one against Gardner Webb. But if it's still a lingering thing against Clemson, we'll see something. But nonetheless, I have a feeling we're going to see some Philo. We may see some Graham Knowles in this game as well. Any last bits here on this game or anything else in the football world that y'all want to touch on?
I mean, it was quite a weekend. I think that's
Yeah.
probably where I redirect people to the basketball conference podcast because whether you're interested in FSU or UNC discussion or even Virginia Tech, and Clemson too, certainly a notable ACC weekend. Shoot, Miami, Notre Dame, yeah,
Yeah,
the headliners were quite headliney this weekend.
I agree.
My only note is that the UNC game is hysterical. Moving that
Oh,
game to be a
yes.
standalone on Monday, I think it got moved,
Oh,
right? It wasn't originally scheduled for a Monday.
I don't remember, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, assuming it was intentionally moved to a Monday, and then posting what think I saw was a historic loss margin for UNC in an all
Yeah.
Bills first game.
Mm.
It could not have gone more funny. Like
Uh,
it just impossible.
I think my big takeaway from this weekend was uh, between Tommy Castellanos, Haynes King, and Jackson Arnold, the seriously run heavy dual threat quarterbacks had a lot of success this week, and are good things to have in week one against defenses that are still trying to figure themselves out because it's not easy to figure out a dual threat quarterback in game one of a season, and all of those teams were very very good this week. So that's something I clocked.
This is like an interesting trend that I think is starting to trickle back down towards college. As more defenses play two high safeties, you're starting to see a lot more offenses that are schemed around quarterback runs,
Yeah.
and taking advantage of quarterback runs more often. Um, yeah, like I think in the NFL, I remember a couple years ago hearing a podcast about this from people at PFF, and they were like, "Yeah, people just like NFL teams just don't want to get beat by Patrick Mahomes running the ball on them randomly anymore,
Yeah.
or like scrambling, so they're playing with two high safeties every single play." And now it seemed, but the way that you beat that, or sorry, let me back up. They don't want to get beat by Patrick Mahomes chucking it deep every time
Right.
and like, scrambling and then finding someone deep. So they're putting two safeties high every single play. They're playing in cover two every single play. But now the way that you beat that is design your entire offense around quarterback runs so they can't play two
Right.
high safeties all the time and just guess pass. So it's fun.
Yeah.
Like 17-14 and LSU Clemson is not a score that you probably would have seen like even 4 years ago in
No,
college.
not at all.
And so it's been like the trends here are interesting. I think like even during the off season, I was doing a little bit of work on Game on Paper and was taking a look at some of the EPA trends, and there's a pretty clear decline in EPA per play year over year, right? And some of that is
Mm.
model fluctuation, but like
Yeah.
offensive EPA per play year over year has been in pretty constant decline throughout the playoff era. It's like slight, but it's still declining. So I'm interested, for every offensive punch, there's a defensive counter
Exactly.
punch. So I'm interested
Exactly.
to see what's next here.
And I would argue that even lower scoring games, I thought most of them were pretty interesting this week. At least just from what I was following along with. Obviously, one man can only watch so many games when he's also out at a wedding and stuff like that. So Which, by the way, fall weddings are okay. Love your friends. Go to their weddings.
Discourse.
I'm slipping that one in there.
Hey, hey,
It's my theme of the fall.
I'll
So
put it out there. My brother has a fall wedding, not this year, but later on. Did ask for the rec and Buzz to appear at his wedding and delegated that task to
see,
me. And that's where I was like, sir, you made a choice.
that's where you can say, hey, that's challenging. I think those guys are kind of and
Uh,
gals are
it,
occupied in the fall,
unless
you
you
know?
find the one lucky weekend where they will say yes to this, sorry, we're gonna have to settle for the alumni rec, and you'll get that. Anyways,
Yeah.
Haynes King, ACC quarterback of the week, Manning Award star of the week. There is so much just various 1990 national champs merch out there. The AT Fund has a
It's
deal out
so
there.
funny.
I mean,
This
it's
is
great. I mean, I'm
it's
glad we're
so
leading into
good.
this. I'm glad we're leading into this. This is a game long awaited. So do this. Yes, and yes, we play them next year, and so in theory, we could just split the national championship once again if we lose to them next year, which would be funny as well. Um, but
Yeah,
at
I
the
think I
same,
would have backed off of the settled for good t-shirt. That might not have been the best choice of t-shirt slogan, but like the AT fund is really feasting off of this one. And I
it's
have
good.
to give them props for taking advantage of a donation drive
It's
opportunity.
good. It's good. Hey, we need the money. Find what you can. Um, there are some discounted tickets out there for the Gardner Webb game. I know those folks. I think folks that work at Tech, if you happen to be one of those people or know someone that does, they have access to some cheaper tickets. I believe alumni should as well. Either way, it's the Gardner Webb game. Selling it out is going to be a little difficult, just because of the nature of the game. So if you can get in the building, or if you don't think you'll make it to another game this year, this is the one to go. One to go to because it'll be easy. It's middle of the day. No one cares if you don't stay for the whole game, just because it's going to be. Hopefully, it'll be like the VMI game last year, where they've shortened the half because the game's already out of hand. So we'll see how that
I,
all plays out.
one thing I will add on this one, is or in terms of tickets is if you do a little look ahead to Clemson. Number one, you can only get Clemson tickets if I mean you can get single game Clemson tickets. Those are like $100. So
Yep.
say you are thinking, oh well, I would pay $100 for 3 games, but not $100 for one
Mm,
game. Well, Georgia Tech has a ticket deal for you, sir.
they
You
sure
can pay like
do.
$115 for Clemson plus the other two ACC games,
Yeah.
and lock that in. So take advantage of that opportunity while it lasts. There was also like a flash sale a couple weeks ago for $60 Clemson tickets, and I'm
Ooh.
sure a bunch of people are out there on the internet kicking themselves for not having picked that up. I
Yeah.
know one of our friends is, so yeah,
It
keep that in mind.
that game's gonna be so freaking good. There still is a chance that is a. I think with Notre Dame losing, that gives a better chance for it to be a game day slot because that's the same week as A&M Notre Dame, and if Notre Dame's not as good, that helps us. That helps out our case. That's all I'll know.
That's rat poison, Jack.
That's
That's
just.
rat poison.
I have been the biggest deliverer of all the rat poison, and I stand by it. Okay, I think that's all we've got. Jake, what do we got from section 103?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty stacked update, at least since the last time yours truly has been able to be on the podcast. Section 103, polos. Go check them out. There's a ton of options, and they look very swish. I would recommend starting there. Jack, I think, and Akshay too, we've got some gold, we've got some navy, we got some heather with the navy, we got some gold and heather with the navy. There are a lot of options. You got some patterns, some stripes. You got the rec, you got the GT, really just about every type of combination you could want. And if you're really feeling crazy, buy all nine. Use our code FTRS, 10% off. Especially if you're going to do that. But of course, they are up to quite a few things. I personally really like the new Welcome to the Flats Ringer tee. It's actually got the render of Bobby Dowd on there with the new fanning center, which is pretty cool. And for whatever reason, Ringer tees they're the apple of my eye lately, so check that out over there as well. I think that's it in terms of new things, but between men's, women's, youth polos, and also the ringer tee, you got a lot to take a look at here as the season gets started. In addition to hats, sweatshirts, shirts, jerseys, all that good stuff. Some classic throwbacks, and I think I saw a new volleyball shirt on there as well when I was
Hmm.
flipping through. It's
Volley
Buzz with
Buzz
the
is
volleyball.
here, back.
Yes, I love Buzz doing stuff. You know that the Buzz with the wrench on the MRDC doors. That's the nostalgia right there. Volley Buzz, you got basketball Buzz, and Steven's got a basketball Buzz on the site. That them and the gang over there, they don't miss. So go check them out. Section103.com. Remember code FTRS. Free shipping on orders over $90 every day. Jets, I don't know that there's anything else to mention from Section 103 right now, but as always, stay tuned over there and follow them on Instagram at Section 103. And then again, that URL is section103.com. New season, new look. Gents, how about volleyball? New season, new look there too?
So many new looks with this volleyball team. The sad part about my weekend is I wasn't able to actually view these games, but via the osmosis from our writers, I was able to pick up some information, which will be good to have here. Notably, we went 3-0 in the Georgia Tech Classic, beating Wofford, Ole Miss, and Arkansas State. We came in as the number 22 ranked team in the country, maintaining our consecutive ranked week streak, which is like going on 5 years at this point, something like that. Uh, the starters for the Wofford game were Liv Mogridge, DeAndre Pierce, Sofia Velez, Lamine Mambu, who's new to the lineup, Eloise Suarez, Anna Fedorowicz, new to the lineup, and Larissa Mendez. Fedorowicz only lasted a set before they swapped her in for Despania, and she played pretty much the rest of the weekend for the relevant sets between the final two sets against Wofford and the four sets against Ole Miss, where she led the team with 20 kills at a 333 hit rate, which is awesome and completely for me completely unexpected. I didn't think they were going to put her in this situation, and it worked out. So clearly, Michelle played the hot hand, and it went to our benefit in a big way. The Wofford game looked to be a very much a warm up game. We only hit 202, got pushed to an extra point in set two, but our side out was getting better as the game progressed. So I absolutely think it was us finding our feet. They hadn't played with this lineup as like at
Yeah.
all in any game, even the practice games. Like Mogridge wasn't in those games, so this was the first time they were working with her. So I'm absolutely having not seen it, but knowing how this team can find ways to figure themselves out, I would not be surprised if this was just a get your feet wet game. They got the sweep; it was fine, but not no alarm bells or anything like that. Just a they got it done.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing to highlight there is preseason press conference, Coach Collier did note that this is a year where maybe they're looking to play a wider lineup than they have. It 11 on the score sheet. That's not a huge amount of lineup diversity, but it's certainly bigger, I think, than a lot of games that we've seen in the past, and certainly not just a
Yeah,
pure 6-2 type of situation. So certainly worth noting there. They're playing a longer lineup, but to your point, that it's a lot of the first live live against an opponent action that this
yeah,
team has gotten. If you look at up and down the score sheet, right? If you're just dropping in after after going and not catching the first three games, it's a team with a different look, right? And
yeah.
and one that maybe is a little bit more balanced, and that's kind of something she noted in the preseason presser as well, but also one that is just different, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think any of these results were surprising if we pivot to the Ole Miss or the Arkansas State ones as well.
Ole Miss game, Mogridge doesn't play. Bianca Garibaldi gets the game instead as middle blocker, and she has 6 kills for a 750 hit percentage, which is perfect.
Yeah,
Just what you want there. Uh, from what Will Fuss told me, the 6-2 rotation with Ital Lapoyo and Sarah Toth was really good. Lapoyo had hit 400 in her 4 sets of playing game time with 6 kills, which is awesome, including 6 block assists. The big thing to note here against Ole Miss, who uh, checking evolve real quickly here. I don't believe they're a mass. They aren't like a massive team in the grand scheme of they're 41st overall in the
yeah,
country right now
they're
according to
good.
evolve. So they're good. They're not killers, but like they're good. We had 11 and a half blocks against them.
Yeah,
That
and
is
and
not a
pair
number
that
where you, yeah,
Jack, and pair that with between our three middle blockers combined, we saw 16 kills out of the middle.
yeah,
I think that's offense and defense, right? That's more action than we've seen up the middle, I think, in the last
yeah,
couple of years.
which is really good, really really good to have. Lamine Mambu also had 11 kills in that game, which is good to see. She hit 280, and as
Yep.
she will, it looks like she's going to be the main target. Like her ceiling is she'll be our main weapon on the outside. Like she's the main outside hitter if it works out. We'll see, but it seems like she's going to get those reps for now. But yeah, those 11 and a half blocks, only one was a solo block, which was Mambu, but Pierce, 7 block assists. Lapoyo, 7 block assists. Garibaldi and Mendes, 3 assists as well. Despania got 2 in there as well. So that was really good to see. And then against Arkansas State, who was number 50 in the country according to Evolve, we definitely went into the bench. They tried some things. Danielle Tansey started sets 2 through 4. We lost the first set, actually 27-25, but handedly had the rest of the sets. Um, yeah,
I was gonna say, I think that's a theme to highlight on. 3-1 as well against Ole Miss. Both of those matches had 27-25% losses.
mhm.
When you combine it with all the other factors at play, I think losing a total of 2 sets by a combined 4 points with a pretty fresh minted team, if you will. Not a bad start. Not a
No,
bad
not
start for Tech and Arkansas State. Again, no slouch. It's a good program, and maybe not the kind of caliber we're going to see in the coming days here.
no, no.
But between all of them, I think it's a pretty good start to the year against some solid opponents.
Yeah. Some self-inflicted damage in the first set too. We had 12 attack errors and then didn't have more than 10. We only had 3 in the second set and then 8 in the
Yeah.
final 2 sets. So they worked their way out there. Only hit one. They actually hit 168 to Arkansas State's 200. But on the flip side, on serves we had 9 aces to their 3 aces. We also had only 3 service errors, according to compared to their 9 service errors. So there are some off in system
Yeah.
normal run of play things that went our direction as well. Mambu led the team with 16 kills. Garibaldi had 14. Liv Mogridge played 3 of the sets. Annika Groom got some playing time, which is good to see. Uh, Mendez played all 4 sets. Suarez played all 4 sets. Mambu played all 4 sets. Tansey played pieces of sets 2 through 4. Despania only played a couple sets. She had a negative hit percentage, so it looks like she may have been one of the early falters in terms of getting early points, and so they just let her sit out for a time. And then Lapoyo played 3
And
sets.
I would say Tech didn't really run away with any of these sets. I mean, they beat Wofford 25-18 in that third set. I
Yeah.
believe they were
Everything was
19
close. Yeah.
17
Yeah.
against Ole Miss like that.
Yeah.
Those are reasonable wins. But again, when the worst team you're seeing is number 86 Wofford, like it's a pretty solid start to the year.
It
There were
was a
no
good weekend.
slouches in this lineup. So
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't play like full-fledged ranked, like, okay, this team could absolutely beat us kind of thing, like with UCLA last year. What we thought San Diego was
yeah.
going to be a couple of years ago after they had nearly made the Final Four. Um, so that's good. Knowing we've got the Stacey Clark Classic coming up. We dropped a spot in the rankings. We're number 23. But we face number 17 Purdue in their building on Wednesday night, number 15 Kansas in Purdue's building in the middle of the afternoon on Thursday, and then Bowling Green at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. All back to back to back days. I mentioned this in the preview when the schedule came out. I think it's awesome that we're getting some road Big Ten games in. I like this is a fun little piece of the schedule. I like that we get out there, we go somewhere new. Like we played at BYU last year, got a big win out there. Played Ohio State a few years ago, got a big win out there. And so this definitely isn't a thing Collier is unfamiliar with. There's could be a lot of new faces here, of course. We'll see how this goes. Purdue is very good. Kansas is very good. Uh, this will.
And
I thought Ole Miss was going to be like the barometer game for us, but in hindsight, now seeing where Ole Miss was and where these teams are, this is a barometer game now.
Jack, Kansas in particular, I want to highlight,
Okay.
is going to be furiously mad trying to get a win here. So far, they've opened up the year with 3 neutral site games and an away game. They were on the 23rd and 25th. They got Vanderbilt and Penn State, and then the 29th and 31st, they got Wisconsin and Creighton. They beat
Oof.
Vanderbilt 3-2, and they lost to Penn State, Wisconsin, and Creighton 2-3, 2-3, 2-3. If there's a team coming up that's tested, it's gonna be Kansas, and
Yep.
frankly, that's a bit scary. There
Yep.
are some teams that came absolutely rip roaring out of the gate scheduling. Pittsburgh's 2-2, but it's because they've seen Nebraska and Florida for their losses, and they've gotten
Mhm.
TCU and Arizona State for the wins. I mean, there are teams that are out there that are rip roaring, ready to go. Purdue, they let me pull their schedule back up, but they saw South Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee, no slouch. South Florida, pretty good mid-major, that kind of thing. Not nearly the same, but Kansas in particular, that's if you're gonna have some eyeballs on something, that's a I don't know. The narrative in that game kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, nope, that's absolutely fair. I'm thinking around on Evolve and see if there's anything else. Just these teams are popping up in these stats. That's a big note, but they don't seem to be as of now. Akshay, sorry, you haven't said anything here. Where are you standing with all this?
Uh, Purdue is very scary. I don't think I'm saying anything like particularly groundbreaking with that, but like you're talking about a pretty substantial home court advantage for Purdue just based on what Evolve is posting on their schedule page here. This is the most by Evolve's like watchability metric. This is the most watchable game of the day tomorrow, or I guess today, as you listen to this potentially, at 98.1. What is this called? A killer matchup score based out
Never
of
heard
a
of that.
0 to 100. Incredible. But yeah, Purdue, based on Evolve's simulations, has a 70% chance to win, and the most common winning state is 3-0, so at just around 29%. So it, I'm not. I am very curious to see what Georgia Tech in what like my priors on Georgia Tech, or this is a rebuild year, not a retool year. Like I'm very curious to see what Tech can do against an opponent of this caliber
Yeah,
and where it can go after that, right? I think Purdue and Kansas very like those are two very, very good opponents. Bowling Green is more of the, the Ole Miss, the Arkansas State tier. So it's not
I'd
you're
put them in
not
the
really
Wofford tier,
slouching.
but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I guess like I'm trying to be nice, like it's a step below. But how do you react? How do you do in a road environment for the first time of the season with a completely rebuilt roster, still trying to blood in new talent? Like there's so many intervening factors here
hmm
that you look at the win probability on Tech side of the fence, right? A fifth set victory for Tech, 11%, a four set victory for Tech, 11%, and then a sweep going the other way, somehow 7%, right? So it'll be fun. Like it'll be
yeah,
stressful, I think. Like it's nice to get the blood pressure up in the start of September, I guess, but at the very least, it'll be watchable and it could be really fun. So.
yep, I agree. Mambu and Velas got some good ACC honors this week, which is good to see. But yeah, from there, gonna be tough. These kinds of these kinds of wins will be very good to keep us kind of in that 16 to 20 slot we've been hovering the last few years. I think the rankings got us right in that we're not exactly in that state again, but we have played well enough, consistently enough over multiple iterations of this roster to deserve that kind of prestige ranking so far in an early season situation. But this will be a good test to see where we are for real. Cross country, what happened here, Jake?
Yeah. Well, they won, the men and the women. The men ran a 4 mile race, the women a 5K, I believe. Kind of an interesting set of distances, but it was Tech, Kennesaw State, Emory, and SCAD Atlanta. Tech and Kennesaw. Tech did just nudge out Kennesaw on the men's side. The women went 1, 2, 4, 5, and had another two in the top 10. So a little bit more thorough over there. Don't have a lot to add, but Caitlin Thomas and Wyatt Wyndham did get named ACC Freshman of the Week in the process. They'll be at Jacksonville State Southern Showcase on 9/12. I believe that is probably a more representative data point, if you will.
Sounds good. Rest of the stuff going around the flats, the women's basketball ACC schedule just got announced. We already knew who those opponents were. And where those games were. We just didn't know when those games were. Clemson is the only team we play twice in the conference. We do get Stanford and Cal in Atlanta this year instead of out there. We do play on New Year's Day, so that'll be maybe I won't. I don't know if I'll be covering that game yet. We'll see how that goes. But beyond that, nothing else major going on. If you can make it to Tech this weekend for the football game, please do. It'll be it's can't if you haven't been to campus in a long time. There's a lot of new stuff. The cycle track's done, which is really cool to see. There's a lot. Every sidewalk is
It looks so good.
It's so good. Every sidewalk is brand spanking new. Where they're gonna have the parade. I mean, no, the parade. The rec. What's that? Whatever that walk is into
Yellow
the
Jacket
stadium.
Alley.
Yellow Jacket Alley. Thank you. That's still going to be happening on North Ave, where they've got the block party thing going on. I cannot say I've heard a single song of whoever is playing this weekend at the party.
Who
So
is it?
I don't know.
Low
All I know is
cash, right?
low cash. That's right. I hope Georgia Tech's not low on cash after this is all said and done this weekend. Uh, I glad I accidentally set that up. Yes,
Hey,
actually.
hey, I'm,
One thing I just pulled up this women's basketball schedule article again. Did we ever clock that the ACC women's basketball tournament is at Gas South this year?
I don't know that we've mentioned that, but
I think we did.
it's
Yeah.
ringing a bell deep in my head.
It does not ring a bell at all for me. This is
I believe
fascinating.
I believe we talked about this at some point. I forgot why it's happening, but yes, we have to travel to Duluth for the ACC basketball championships this year instead
Is
of
the
Greensboro.
Greensboro Athletic Complex under construction or something?
Uh,
What's going on?
We'll have to look into this.
How did an ACC championship event get out of North Carolina?
That's the age-old question right there. I do not know. We'll have to we'll do that. We'll have that ready for next week, unless Jake knows right now.
I do not know right now, but
Oh,
I want to circle back on the cycle track just because I'm that excited about it.
oh, great,
Floating
great.
bus stops,
Hmm.
world class design, and it came out of a Georgia Tech senior design effort. If
Oh,
there's not something that is not just like they built the best of the best, like to the point where people should come to Atlanta to check out how excellent of infrastructure they put in. But the fact that it was a Georgia Tech senior design I think is absolutely worth highlighting. It's super cool to see something that our peers from when we were at Georgia Tech got to contribute to
hmm.
and then make a reality. If that's not what Georgia Tech is all about, then I don't know what is, right? So
Amen. Yeah, no, absolutely.
good on them. It's truly fantastic and worth celebrating. So
Yeah.
good to see.
One other shout, except this is going to be more institutional, so it's less fun. The now that there's actually starting to be brick put up for the Fanning Center, you can tell that it's going to fit like right in with the rest of
Yes.
campus, and
Yes.
that's going to look really good.
No, one other thing, I literally pulled up the campus construction update from the Daily Digest right before we hopped on today. And one thing we've been talking about for a long time is Georgia Tech do more esports stuff. It's such an
Hmm.
obvious situation, but I did see that it was in the on the horizon section that the CRC esports arena is coming. Cool. Good job. That seems
But
right up our alley. So do
yes,
that.
I've been telling people about this that this needs to be a vertical for us for a long time. So that's good to see. Uh, yep. Lots of good reasons it could be campus this weekend if you can make it, or to some other future weekend outside of that. I'll just say for me and Akshay, Game on Paper had a great weekend on the socials. A lot of people following. The exposure is increasing. We are slowly but surely indoctrinating people into the whatever Akshay has been indoctrinating us into uh, with the site. So that's cool.
I don't help run it, but I feel like I'm a day one fan, so
Yeah,
go for
you
it.
have
Good
loyalty
job, guys.
you have
Right?
loyalty points. I don't know what that gets you. We haven't set up a we
You
haven't
get a punch card. You get a
For
punch
your
card for free
access,
pizza.
you pay me in order, or I don't
something like
know.
that. We don't like we just now have
Zero interest rates are back, baby. You pay me
Uh,
for you. I pay you for customer acquisition. It's great.
we now have a logo,
delightful.
so maybe we can make a T-shirt. I don't know. That's we I don't know.
No t-shirts.
No
Quarter zips
T-shirts.
only. Quarter
Okay,
zips
Oh
only.
God.
I'll let you pay for the
Uh,
$120 quarter zip
a
then.
a soccer jersey with the logo on it, you know. I
No,
could see you doing
to
that.
be fair, to be fair, it's a shield. It could work. It could work. Don't give me ideas.
I
It's the
already
worst
thought
thing
of
I
the
I'm
can
not
home.
do
gonna
is
do
give you
that.
an
I already
idea.
thought of the home and road kit, and I'm going to stop there. Jake, please end this episode.
Yeah, as always, this episode is brought to you by Section 103. Go find them at Section 103 on Instagram, section103.com. This is a production of From the Rumble Seat, fromtherumbleseat.com, and email us from the rumbleseat at gmail.com with any thoughts, ideas, feedback, suggestions for this podcast or for the site. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can find us on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Jake Grant 98 dot whatever Blue Sky stuff. Jack's over there at Jack Nicholas. FTRS is in both places. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Just search for From the Rumble Seat. You can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are distributed. Please tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to spread the word about what we're doing here. And until we speak again, good night, good luck, and go Jack.